Ladies and gentlemen, I've read a Washington Post article on this subject, a Rolling Stone article, a Time magazine piece, and there's a whole bunch of writing suggesting that, well, President Trump really should be convicted of various crimes. After all, he compelled, and he basically told people to commit really horrendous acts. In fact, look at the video footage. It's terrible. I mean, the video footage Democrats are showing actually is really horrendous. The people who did what they did engaged in the most, not only counterproductive, it was a horrendous thing. And those 5 people should be alive today. The issue, however, is that President Trump did not plan, he did not organize, and he did not tell people or direct anyone to commit any illegal acts. To Democrats and media and a great many, to everyone who didn't like President Trump, he's directly responsible. If that's the case, why don't they take him to a court of law? Why don't they charge him or convict him or indict him in a court of law? Why not? Why only relegate this to impeachment, where the Senate's going to acquit President Trump? So the Senate's they're not going to get 16 or 17 senators. They need 17 senators, Republican senators, to convict Trump in the Senate trial. He'll be acquitted, which will be a devastating political loss for Democrats, because they spent all of this time grandstanding like they usually do. He worked with Russia. He pressured Zelensky. He told people to commit these heinous and horrible atrocities, and yet he's going to be acquitted. Why? Because they're not leveling charges at him in a court of law. The mayor of D.C. and the attorney general of D.C. aren't leveling charges or indictments against President Trump. Why not? Hit subscribe to this channel right now. We're back on our way to over 200,000 subscribers. And it's very difficult to... It's ladies and gentlemen, your support, especially my new Patreons, thank you so very much. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below and also on hagoodman.com. You could read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, The Times of Israel, The Roanoke Times, The Daily Caller, other publications. You can see my debates. But hit subscribe, because it's difficult in this political climate to really, unravel or to debunk or to tear apart the overt propaganda against one person. And Trump made it easy for them. He's continually letting them have the ball on the 1-yard line. Okay? There should have been discourse, discussion, debate. He should have gone on CNN and MSNBC and Maddow and Joe Rogan, Tim Pool, any venue he could have. He could have communicated through creative means, or not even that creative. I mean, that the 3 of the biggest, most influential, open-minded people on the internet, Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool. Why didn't President Trump, the past couple of months, just go on their shows? And there are other YouTubers as well. Why couldn't he have gone on CNN and MSNBC and said, "Here, this is what my vantage point is"? If you say, well, he couldn't go on those cable stations because they would just try to eviscerate him. Well, he went on Twitter. It was the absolute worst possible decision. If you communicate on a platform that is designed to amplify and to spread and to bolster left-leaning ideas and vantage points. Because almost every social media algorithm, especially Twitter, there's a double standard. They can go ahead and spread edited videos of Trump, a Steele dossier, which was literally purchased, full of baseless allegations. But none of the BuzzFeed's account will never be suspended, but you better believe the New York Post's account will be suspended when there's incriminating emails that show pay-to-play schemes between Caligula and his father, Biden, who's the president now. And so the endless stream of tweets from President Trump the past couple months before he was banned, and thank God he was banned, the best thing that could ever have happened to President Trump and the movement he created, which is full of fantastic accomplishments. Abraham Accords, the beginning of peace between North and South Korea, a whole bunch of amazing paradigm-changing accomplishments that are now overshadowed because of his tweets. Democrats are now reliving a horrendous moment, ignoring 6 months of chaos and mayhem on the streets of America that you could link to the words of Democratic politicians. You have Democratic politicians paying for the bail of people who were arrested. The rebuttal is, well, that was for a good cause. Yes, but the people who were committing arson, and whether they're there's Operation Legend, which is different. It's not necessarily only because of the chaos and mayhem, but not everyone arrested was there for altruistic reasons the past couple of 5-6 months prior to November. You have 19 lives lost. You have $1 to $2 billion in property damage. You have businesses boarding up businesses in Los Angeles and throughout the country with the signs saying, we believe in your cause. Please don't torch or destroy our business. So, and you can make correlations. There are politicians who have stated we want to get in the faces of Trump supporters, politicians. I think even Trump supporters, politicians who support President Trump. You have politicians who say that they wanted to physically assault President Trump. You had Hollywood people who have said the most horrendous things. You have one comedian who's a legendary comedian who said, alluded to pretty directly to ending the life, of America's president at the time. When President Trump's brother passed away, you had a hashtag #WrongTrump. These people are many people who dislike Trump are the most vile, malicious, venomous human beings. And they then play the game and try to pretend that they're these virtuous souls who are so shocked at what took place when they said nothing. And you better believe they not only said nothing. Where were the progressive YouTubers? Where were the liberal pundits? Where was Robert Reich? And where were the Medicare for All $20 million venture capital people who say now that, no, you can't have Medicare for all? What, do they kneel during the national anthem? No. Where were they during the marches and the protests? Somebody should ask anyone who's leveling all this contempt at Trump while at the same time championing the mostly peaceful protests. If they were mostly peaceful, why didn't all of these people on the left who are high-profile individuals, I'm not going to name them, you know who they are, I'm not going to name them, I'm not going to give you names. Why weren't they protesting and marching? Why didn't they have a live stream or why isn't there any record? The $20 million venture capital people, how many protested during the 5 to 6 months? Why, we can go on and on forever. Why doesn't Biden kneel during the national anthem? Why doesn't Pelosi or Schumer? I mean, they did kneel, in a show of support, but it wasn't during the national anthem. So why don't they kneel during the national anthem? These people are hypocrites. They're the definition of hypocrites, and it's because the Republican Party at this moment is inept. They are caught in this purgatory. They're caught in like this in this type of political purgatory where they know that Trump has pretty much taken control of the Republican Party. He still has 80 to 90% approval rating. 2/3 of Republicans would leave the Republican Party. There's a Washington Examiner article. 2/3 of the Republican Party would leave. If President Trump started a new organization, new political party, and follow him there, okay, I'm always going to oppose the Lincoln Project, people, and I want an end to never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts and regime changes and interventions which cause untold, endless suffering and ruins the lives and ends the lives of so many around the world. So I'll always vote for President Trump over any Democrat or establishment Republican, or never Trumper. Let's say, for example, Mitt Romney is the nominee in 2024, which he won't be, but let's say he is. I would enjoy Biden easily destroying him. I would enjoy that, even though I'm not a fan of Democrats. Not a fan. The Democratic Party is impeaching President Trump because they think it's the best way to pretty much end the Republican Party. Their goal is to silence all conservative thought. Now, I'm not a conservative on issues, on all issues. I'm conservative on the Second Amendment. I think it's a conservative viewpoint now not to have endless regime changes. I think that's what President Trump has brought to the Republican Party. The foreign policy to Democrats is Facebook ads. And whether Trump pressured a foreign leader to investigate Biden, which the federal government is now doing by investigating his son. If the federal government's investigating Caligula, they're investigating Biden. But that's another story. You can impeach Trump 20 times. You're still going to get the same 74 million plus people to vote for him. Because if he learns from the missteps, if he doesn't insult and if he's not always belligerent, and if he finds a way within himself to handle belligerent and petulant and malicious journalists who just want to undermine him. Notice how media is so calm because they got what they wanted. They're even giving Biden's team, press secretary, questions in advance. They got what they wanted. Everything's fine now. It's calm. They're not. Nobody cares that Biden said $2,000. Now it's $1,400. You know what? They don't care. Nobody cares now. Medicare for all, Green New Deal legislation, universal basic income, stimulus check. Everything is just, you know what? If it's watered down, or if they just decide against doing any of that stuff, what's going to happen? You think the American left is there to be cheated by Democrats. That's their existence is there they exist to be disappointed and cheated, and then to feel the normal emotions of being pummeled and bullied, and then to almost rise up politically, and then to be quelled by Bernie Sanders and AOC and the $20 million venture capital people and everyone else saying, you can't, the Democrats are our only hope. I mean, one day, it's a long journey, and, we'll get there one day. And plus, most people on the left live within this fear, this peer pressure, they're bullied into, they're pummeled and stomped into compliance. And let's say like Medicare for all, like this is it's a weird life on the left. Thank God I left that world. Like Medicare for all, there are people, idealistic, impressionable, good human beings. They're good, beautiful souls, good human beings on the left who truly believe that there are people who are losing their lives because of Medicare for all. They truly believe this. They truly believe the planet won't be around in 20 years or so if they don't implement Medicare for all. They truly believe that universal basic income is the best thing possible. They truly believe these things. They truly, with their hearts, believe, especially with Medicare for all, that people are losing their lives. And yet, instead of trying to start, build the Green Party or build the People's Party or build some kind of political leverage over the Democrats, what they do is they go on social media and they moralize and they preach, and it's the same cult thing. Just to let you know, you promised Medicare for all, man. Medicare for all? Yeah, Medicare for all. You promised people losing their lives. Well, you know what? You promised us this. And then it's AOC and Bernie Sanders to the rescue for Pelosi, and then it's just, Trump is the big problem. He's the real problem. But, I was almost not going to vote Democrat, but I will now because I know that I don't want to lose friends and family and stuff. So it's a gigantic, really sad and pathetic racket where religion has been replaced, like the belief in God has been replaced by the belief in Medicare for all. Or I should say, the belief in God has been replaced by the fear of being accused of having supported Trump once or supporting Trump. The most vile insult you could level at somebody on the left is, you're a Trump supporter. You support Trump. Oh my God, it's like, and then you have the Democrats, the I'm with her crowd, who are now, they already think that they've won over the Trump. They think that like the Republicans will finally get back to normal and they'll get Mitt Romney so they could just easily defeat him. But they don't realize that Trump really controls the Republican Party. They're so clueless. And in 2022, it's instant impeachment of Biden. There's so much there. And of course, you'll get Twitter suppressing and things you can't talk about. And it'll be like the same thing, but they'll still impeach Biden. And then you'll have 2024 will be a completely new ballgame because you'll have, hopefully, a Republican Party that speaks with one voice. If Democrats don't have every conceivable possible advantage, you will see the left breaking off, slowly breaking off. Once they grow a spine and, get... I'm not talking about, like, good... I'm not talking about... They do have a spine. I shouldn't say that. There are courageous people on the left, but once the left realizes that the Democratic Party will never in a trillion years give them what they want, then they'll do the logical thing and build the Green Party, and then they'll be accused of being Russians and Putin operatives and all that, because that's what Democrats do. It's the most absurd nonsense. And then they say, oh, Trump, and he lies so much. These are people who call Tulsi Gabbard, Trump, Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein, all Russian operatives. Anyone they don't like is a Russian operative. But once the left actually decides that they're okay with being disparaged and mocked and denigrated and, accused of absurd things by the Democratic Party, and they actually build up the Green Party, you will see Democrats saying, oh my God, we have to vote on Medicare for all. We have to vote on those things because the left will finally force the Democratic Party. And then AOC and Bernie Sanders won't be able to funnel all those people back into the Democratic Party. But see, again, the left is slowly breaking away. Whether it does completely, I have no clue, from the Democratic Party. The Democrats, Trump is not the Democratic Party's number one adversary. No, not by a million, no way. The number one adversary of the Democratic Party is the left. The left is always pacified by, left-leaning politicians, Elizabeth Warren, who say, say the right things, but at the end of the day, don't give them what they want. They run on public relations. So President Trump, right now, they're not leveling charges at him in a court of law because they can't. At least Trump, you could say what you like about him and what he did the past couple of months and all like that. The phrase that Democrats love to use is he was laughed out of court. Well, at least he went to court. At least he tried in a court of law. Democrats know better than to try in a court of law, because then they would lose every single court case against President Trump pertaining to the Capitol. That's why the Attorney General, the Mayor of D.C., Pelosi, Schumer, none of the attorneys who dislike Trump, none of the federal prosecutors are not taking Trump the FBI itself, they're not going after Trump in a court of law because he did not organize, direct, or tell people to do anything. It was a protest. It was a misguided protest that went completely out of control. And so President Trump, he did not display wisdom that day. There should never have been anything that day because there needed to be a national dialogue and discourse, and he didn't create that. But he didn't tell people to commit egregious acts. They did that, unfortunately, on their own. Those 5 people should be alive today. And that's the true tragedy. And the 19 people who lost their lives, maybe even more than 19, the past 5-6 months prior to the Capitol, they should be alive also. When CNN says fiery but mostly peaceful with a building set ablaze behind the journalist, you know where this country is at in terms of media. Give me your thoughts below. They're not leveling charges at Trump for because they can't convict him in a court of law. This is a political endeavor. They're going to lose because he's going to be acquitted. And at the end of the day, yeah, the video footage is horrific. Not Trump's fault. And in a court of law, they wouldn't be able to prove it's Trump's fault as well. Give me your thoughts. Thank you so much. I'll be back numerous times today. And thank you to my new Patreons. And thank you to the people who subscribe to this channel. Get this segment viral.